the Nemedian Saga, Trials of the Muintir Nemed. Long ago, in the mists of ancient Ireland, a brave and hopeful people known as the Muintir Nemed set foot on the verdant shores of the Emerald Isle. Led by their valiant chieftain Nemed, they had traveled far across the seas, seeking a new land to call their own. Ireland, with its rolling hills, dense forests, and sparkling rivers, seemed like a paradise compared to the harsh lands they had left behind. As the Muintir Nemed began to settle, they built their homes and tilled the rich soil, hoping for peace and prosperity. But Ireland was not an unoccupied paradise. It was a land of fierce and mystical inhabitants. Among these were the Fomorians, a race of formidable giants and sea raiders who held sway over the island's coasts. The Fomorians, led by their fearsome king, Balor of the Evil Eye, viewed the newcomers with suspicion and hostility. One evening, as the Muintir Nemed gathered around a roaring fire, Nemed spoke to his people.
"We have come far, endured much. This land promises a future, but we must be ready to defend it,"
he said, his voice filled with determination. A young warrior named Fergus stepped forward, his eyes blazing with courage.
"Chieftain Nemed, we will stand by you. The Fomorians will not take this land from us."
The Muintir Nemed quickly realized that their new home would not be one without struggle. Nemed, a man of great wisdom and courage, gathered his people and prepared them for the challenges ahead. He knew that they must defend their claim to the land if they were to survive and thrive. At first, the Muintir Nemed and the Fomorians coexisted uneasily, with skirmishes breaking out sporadically. However, the Fomorians soon began to exert their dominance, demanding tributes of cattle, grain, and even slaves.
"We will enslave you."
The Muintir Nemed, determined to retain their freedom and dignity, resisted these demands, leading to a series of brutal conflicts. The battles between the Muintir Nemed and the Fomorians were epic clashes of strength and will. The Fomorians, towering and monstrous, wielded enormous weapons with devastating power. Yet the Muintir Nemed, though smaller and fewer in number, fought with the fierce determination of those defending their homes and families. They utilized their knowledge of the land, employing guerrilla tactics and striking swiftly from the shadows. Despite their bravery, the Muintir Nemed suffered greatly. Many lives were lost in the relentless struggle, and their resources were stretched thin. The Fomorians, with their greater numbers and brutal tactics, seemed invincible. The land, once a beacon of hope, now became a battleground soaked in blood and tears. Amidst this turmoil, Nemed continued to lead his people with unwavering resolve. He called upon the Druids, the wise and mystical seers of their people, seeking their guidance and the favor of the gods. The Druids performed sacred rituals and offered sacrifices, praying for divine intervention in their time of need. One fateful day, as the Druids gathered to perform a powerful ritual, a vision came to Nemed. In his dream, he saw a land far across the seas, a place where his people could find refuge and rebuild their strength. Nemed knew that to survive, they must leave Ireland and seek this distant haven. Gathering his people, Nemed shared his vision.
"We cannot continue this fight. The gods have shown me a land across the seas where we can start anew."
An elder named Keel spoke up, his voice heavy with sorrow.
"Leaving this land will be hard, but if the gods have spoken, we must heed their call."
With heavy hearts, but determined spirits, the Muintir Nemed prepared for a perilous journey. They built sturdy ships and gathered what provisions they could. As they sailed away from Ireland, they cast longing glances back at the land they had fought so hard to claim. Their voyage was fraught with danger, from treacherous seas to fierce storms. Yet the Muintir Nemed pressed on, driven by the hope of finding a new home. After many harrowing weeks, they reached the shores of a distant land, but their trials were far from over. In this new land, the descendants of Nemed found themselves enslaved by a powerful people. They were forced to labor under the scorching sun, carrying heavy bags of soil and clay to fertilize barren fields. It was from this grueling toil that they earned the name Fir Bolg, meaning men of bags. Years passed, and the Fir Bolg endured their harsh existence with a mixture of resilience and quiet defiance. They never forgot their homeland, nor the promise of freedom that had driven them to these foreign shores. Under the yoke of their oppressors, they forged a bond of unity and strength, dreaming of the day they might escape and return to Ireland. One evening, as they gathered after a long day's work, a young Fir Bolg named Eochaid stood and spoke passionately.
"We are the descendants of Nemed. We have endured much, but we will rise again. Ireland awaits us."
Nemed's vision and the hope he instilled in his people never faded. As the Fir Bolg toiled under the hot sun, they whispered tales of their homeland, keeping their spirits alive with stories of green hills and ancient forests. They knew that one day they would rise again and reclaim their destiny. And so the stage was set for the next chapter in the saga of the Fir Bolg, a tale of escape, return, and the unbreakable spirit of a people bound by their shared trials and dreams.